After the Lions 38-30 win against the Ravens, I owe you guys an apology. I'm sorry, Lions fans. I'm sorry, Detroit. I thought you'd be done without the coordinators, but Dan Campbell and that organization, you guys are built, and another big win. You're back to being Super Bowl contenders. That was incredibly impressive stuff Monday night on the road from the Detroit Lions. They went into Baltimore and they just took over the game physically on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Offensively, 224 rushing yards. They were just pushing the Ravens around. Goff had all day to throw any pass he wanted. And Montgomery, he went off for 150. Gibbs, not a crazy game, only 60 yards for him rushing. They were more keying in on him. But that's why you got Sonic and Knuckles. And Knuckles was just going crazy. And on the other side of the ball, that Lions D-line with Hutchinson back and new coach Kelvin Shepard, he implemented the spy tactic. And really, it worked to perfection. Defensively, 7 sacks. Yes, the Ravens are going to move the ball down the field. They're going to move the ball down the field against anyone. But compared to what it looked like last year, of course, everyone was hurt. But compared to what it looked like at the end of the season last year, for that defense to come back, step up in this game, in this situation, was huge for them. And I'm just really impressed, man. I mean, Dan Campbell, I'm done doubting you. I'm done. I doubted you. I was like, he's going to be in trouble. They lost Ben Johnson. They lost Aaron Glenn. I thought losing both coordinators just going to be tough. They are still out here calling trick plays still. They're calling that 1 4th down where they handed it to Amara and had him run a speed option to the outside, pitch to Gibbs. I mean, they just so is Dan the mastermind? Like we did see Ben Johnson call a flea flicker, but is Dan just the one like making up these plays? I'm confused because that was amazing stuff. Anytime they needed a play, they got it. They even ran the old I guess you can call it Philly special, kind of sort of Philly special, the throwback to the quarterback. I mean, it was just impressive stuff. They still have the fancy stuff, but that one thing that Dan is going to preach, and he preaches it, I'm sure, all the time and every week, is the toughness that they have in that building. And they just went to Baltimore and kicked their ass for 4 quarters. Now, was it a close game? Yes, but from a physicality standpoint, like, the Lions were more physical everywhere, and that to the Ravens. Now, the Ravens have their problems. I don't think their defense is very good this year. I think the Ravens defense is trash this year. However, we've now seen them back-to-back weeks after losing a tough game to the Packers, trying to get reacclimated and playing Micah Parsons in what is one of the best defenses in the league in Green Bay. After that moment, we've seen them score 52 on the Bears, who, you know, their defense isn't terrible when they're not playing the Lions. They allow, 20 to one other team and 14 to the Cowboys, with no CD, but still 14 to the Cowboys. They put 52 on them, and then last night they just absolutely just cooked the Ravens. Like, that was crazy. It became a physical track meet in a way, and I mean, it was all signaled by the 18-play, 98-yard drive where they just, once they got the first down right before the end of the first quarter, they were just, I can't really say off to the races because it took 18 plays. But it was just methodical. They just complete control of that drive. And that's kind of what it was like all game, specifically when they realized that their plan was going to work and that Lamar was just going to be struggling all game because they weren't going to let him move. They were going to make him throw the ball to Bateman, to Andrews, to Zay. They weren't going to let Henry or Lamar kill them, and they didn't. And Aiden Hutchinson, by the way, he was snapping, had a sack and a half, and then forced the fumble on Derrick Henry. What a great game from Hutchinson, from Hutch out there. I mean, now it's not all perfect. Terrion Arnold, he likes to grab people, so he leads the league right now in defensive pass interference. Don't love to see that. But, I mean, really, other than that secondary occasionally being a little leaky, right now, they look like they're right back in that NFC race, right back to being one of the best teams in the league. And it's truly incredible what Dan Campbell has done with that organization. He added a stability that I know that now we knew they were great the last couple of years, right? But this now it's another layer of that stable greatness, right? Like, I had concerns as an Eagles fan about Nick Sirianni hiring his own offensive coordinator when not hiring from other people who've done it, because now you're in more control and you got to keep the ship steady. And Dan Campbell, he said it was a must-win right before the Bears game. He said, all right, guys, like, we're not going to take 2 weeks. Like, you guys got to lock in now because the schedule's hard. Packers are there. We know they're there. The Vikings are still 2-1, I believe, right? Yeah, the Vikings are 2-1. Even though they have a backup quarterback, they still have a lot of talent and great coaches. Like, you got to wake up and get this thing together. And they've done it. Kelvin Shepherd, bro. I mean, this guy, that was an incredible. I haven't seen Lamar that hemmed up in a non-AFC North game. In a non-AFC North, non-playoff game in a while. Specifically because he's a lot, well, that's not true. The Eagles did it to him. But he is a lot better against NFC teams. And I think the Eagles just have more talent than the Lions as well. Specifically last year's team where they could get more pressure. This Lions team, it was, I'm not going to say they're not talented, but we have seen them kind of get gashed. Well, I guess the Packers kind of gashed them at points. So for them to just scheme up a way to stop Lamar while blitzing, but also keeping a spy, just really, really high-level stuff from the Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown, just huge fourth downs, cooking Humphrey. Goff, just steady as they go. No turnovers from the team. It doesn't get much better than the performance that they just put on Monday Night Football, considering who they're playing. One of the top five quarterbacks, I'll say, in the league. I can't call them a top 5 team right now, but normally one of the top 5 teams, one of the most explosive offenses in the league, a mainstay for a top 3 offense, points per game wise. And defensively, a team that's known for having top 10 defenses all the time. It's just as an organization. Now, again, the defense isn't there this year, but still to do that to them, to just kind of take their heart away toward the end of that game, was just stunning stuff. And so when you really look at like the Lions, like where they can go, I think I'm officially ready. I've been saying it all year, and I have been wrong. Ben Johnson leaving is now no longer a concern. The offense is just fine. Tony the Tiger sent me a text saying Ben who, because he knew what I was talking. So it's really impressive stuff. Oh, man, I just look at their schedule. Next week, the Lions get the Browns. Now, the Browns, no pushover. I thought that last week with the Packers. The Browns will fight you, and their defense is one of the best in the league. So if this offense can kind of look more put together, at least than they did against the Packers, against the Browns, we'll see that improvement is real. And then after the Browns, you get Jake Browning throwing picks to you and the Bengals. I like their chances against the Bengals more than the Browns, and I think they're going to win both games, actually. And then they play the Chiefs. So then we get a couple litmus tests. Chiefs, Bucks, Vikings. It gets interesting down the stretch for sure. But these next couple of weeks, that Ravens win is so huge for them. So huge for them, especially with the Packers losing. Now you're tied for 1 in the division. Well, no, you're not tied. They have the tiebreaker because they beat you. But you can get it right back. Play them again. Just I can't say enough, man. Dan Campbell, real fucking good shit, dude. Like, you really went out there and you're doing your thing. And the Lions are a force again to be reckoned with. I will no longer disrespect Dan Campbell, Goff, these running backs on this team, especially if they can keep Kelvin Shepherd on defense as defense coordinator doing what he's doing out there. This is a true Super Bowl contender.